Krishnan. I have also had dreams of wanting to work with a sports team, and I know a lot of people that I speak with also who are extremely passionate about cricket or
Mhm.
basketball or football want to work in clubs, franchises. What would be your advice or way to think about getting to that place? I know the number of opportunities are not that much. In the future, it's just going to be more than what it is right now. How would you
Mhm.
ask people to think about this?
Okay. I think you would have to think about again the skill sets that you would need for
Mhm.
each role. So, like I mentioned in the past, we might have some tech stack that any team could be working on. So, trying to level up your knowledge in those fronts will be useful. Sometimes being a generalist with the tools that you know, not going incredibly deep into everything, right? But then having knowledge of all of these tools will help you be flexible and be on your feet if it comes to solving a problem. So let's say you know R, you know Python, you know SQL, you know maybe even Tableau, or you know ClickView, you
Mhm.
know any of these like Google Studios or things like that. What or Looker, you might all of these visualization tools. Those are all still pretty useful, not just at these sports teams, but they will still be pretty useful at Google, at Microsoft, at TCS, Infosys, or any other tech company in that you're doing, Ola, Uber, sorry, wherever you are going, thinking of applying. So these skill sets are not just for cricket alone. Cricket is again where you implement these skills. So what I would say is sometimes it's a question of patience and finding the right time for the opportunity,
Mhm.
because you can look for it and it might not come. What's important to know is at this point of time, sports analytics is in 10 teams, right? Let's say the IPL teams are there, and then there's the national team, Indian. So that's 11 teams. WPL also 5 teams, but then you'll have RCB, that's the same team. So let's say I would put that overall at about 15 to 20 teams overall. Uh, I think that's still a small sample set as compared to something like the EPL, where there's 20
Mhm.
teams in one division, and then there's another 20 teams below that. There's another 20 teams below that. So you'll still have 60 teams in one country, and then you'll have it across the entire globe, right? So you'll have it in Spain, Germany, France, all of those clubs. Italy, then you'll be US, Mexico, Canada, and then you'll have national teams there as well, and then you have women's teams there as well. So all of them are still pretty useful. Then in America, if you go, you'll have NFL, you've got the NBA. A lot of them use again pretty similar skill sets, which are not too different from what you would say if you're going to be working in a tech firm. So if you have a front end development skill set, that's still pretty useful, because
Mhm.
in due time you will still be looking at having some front end to showcase your work. It doesn't mean that you need to build websites. Some like knowing visualization will still really help.
Mhm.
Because at the end of the day, you're trying to communicate things to people. So the best way to communicate, and like I think Facebook did a study on that, is actually videos followed by images, then followed by text, right? Even if you do your Facebook algorithm, like, that's the way it actually promotes posts, right? It promotes videos more than it promotes images, more than it promotes text. So
Yes.
it's not. So that's actually stuff that I picked up from my previous role at Focal, right? When we did stuff on the media side. That when you communicate, like being able to be very precise with what you say is very important.
Mhm.
So these are again skill sets that is useful, and again not too different from what you would do if you were
Yep.
working at a tech company. The key thing is that you've got to be open to failure, and what I mean by that is you will be rejected a lot of times for these roles, because uh, sometimes it could be as a simple thing like not having the right visa to go work in outside India, in an outside India, right? Sometimes someone will be like, "Hey, I'm investing in analytics, but I cannot invest in a visa for you," and they'll be pretty open with that. Like I've had at least 4 to 5 job rejections saying that, "Hey, we cannot sponsor a visa for you at this point of time." But that's pretty common, so you'll have to be quite open to having that. Uh, And then sometimes there are better candidates than you. So you've also got to be open to realizing that that's happening. And then at some point of time, the graph will just peak. So it'll be a small peak and then it'll just go up. So that's the way it's typically been because it's a very small crowd, especially for Indians in India. But over time, with more investments in other sports as well, that market will start to open up, right? Like now, I assume with whatever you see on hockey, like the Indian hockey team is doing very well, maybe that opportunity opens up. If some coach comes in and he's like, I want to do analytics for hockey, then that opens up. Someone might look at tennis. Someone might look at I don't know, what do you know, badminton. Is there a way for you to get better?
Mhm.
Maybe going from fourth to third is or getting into those medal spots might be analytics. It could be. I'm not going to say that it is the answer, but it could be one of the things that players might want to look at over there. So there's a lot of things that a lot of areas where it could go, but I would say just be ready for it and be nimble with all the skill sets. Some point of time, it'll just come and win.